Leanne. Welcome to Spark TV.
Thanks, Danielle. Good to be here.
I'm so excited to chat to you because we are just going to, walk into the future today. I can feel it already. Let's kick off by telling everyone who you are and what you do.
Okay, so hello everyone. I'm Leanne Shelton. I'm based in Sydney, Australia. I am actually a human copywriter and content marketer who, got threatened by the AI space beginning of 2023. And basically, so my agency is now 10 years old. Not that I've really been doing a lot of copywriting and 2024. But ultimately my background with marketing, content marketing, copywriting, I felt threatened with AI, but I thought all that background experience can actually be applied to prompt engineering because it's all about words. And ultimately, I taught myself at the beginning of 2023 what it was all about and I've done workshops and webinars over the past like 5 years beforehand on different content marketing topics. But I thought, let's just throw together a webinar on how to use ChatGPT and still sound human, and at 150 people sign up. So I thought,
Wow.
okay, this is maybe a thing. And it just kind of springboarded from there. And rather than being just a little secondary thing to my copywriting business, I've now launched, HumanEdge AI training in April 2024. And this has become my core passion and direction now.
I love that you turned a threat into a business pivot. Like, this is amazing.
Thank
I
you.
feel like there's so much chatter around, oh my God, what's going to happen? All of that kind of, what am I going to have to do? And this worry, worry, worry. I do love the, okay, let's lean into this a little bit and just see what happens. And now you have created a whole new business model. Like, I think it's absolutely incredible. Good on you.
Oh, thank you. And I like to say, to everyone else who's freaked out, because that whole AI is replacing my job type thing is still, the media is still going on about it. Look, we just need to evolve with the times. Like,
Mhm.
once there was no electricity, once there was, there was no internet, there was no social media at one point. And just as with everything that's come, we've just gone, okay, new processes. How can we use this? And there's people who still don't use like social media for their business and still thrive. So
Mhm.
it's not even like you have to use AI. It's going to be like embedded before we know it. It's been compared to like electricity. So before you know it, it's just going to be in the behind the scenes, and you won't even have to think about it. But yeah, just don't run scared. Just think outside the box and think, okay, what are the opportunities here rather than the threats?
Absolutely. It's just, I just love that you said that. So I've been in business for, oh my God, I looked it up on LinkedIn this morning. It's been like 14 years or something wild. 12, maybe 12. But anyway, too long, far too long. And it's so interesting because something happens all the time. There's something to deal with all the time. Like, hello, 2020. But even when 2020 hit, I was like, this isn't the first drama that there's been in the world. GST happened, global financial crisis happened, like all of these things that we have to deal with as business owners and humans. I just love that, your statement, evolve with the times, because this is never going to end. Sure, we're talking about AI today, but it's going to be something else tomorrow.
Yeah, exactly. And really, like with AI, it's as far as your imagination goes is where it could go. And I think this is
Mm.
what freaks people out, because like, oh, someone made a comment just yesterday to me, oh, by 2026, most of us won't have jobs anyway, and AI will be all playing golf. And I'm like, really? But see,
If that's all I'm doing in 2026 is playing golf, I might be a happy lady, but I doubt it. I sincerely doubt it.
oh, if I was playing golf, I'd be hating it because I'm so crap at it.
Yeah, same.
No, and be bored. But yeah, like it really, like I am big, and that's part of the reason why I called it Human Edge AI training. I'm big on the humans driving the AI tools.
Mm.
Like we should be managing it even as it develops. We cannot take our finger off the pulse and just let it control and run everything, because that's just not going to serve us. There's sure there'll be processes we'll learn, oh, that's so much easier, but you still need humans to check, because if you do sack all the humans on your teams, well, what if there's a scam, a sham, a glitch? the whole system goes down and you're relying on AI to run everything, if you don't have humans who know how to manually do it, you're going to be completely like lost, to not swear.
Oh,
So
totally. I mean,
yeah.
I even think about like, so I use ChatGPT for the most basic of things, half the time just to get me started because my brain needs a little help to engage. But do you know how many times it's either fed me wrong information, like, and I look at it and I'm like, I know that's wrong. So you do have to double check it. But even like I love that you use the word human a lot of times where I go, okay, that sounds ridiculous. I can't post that, but at least I've got a starting point now and I can put my flavor over the top of it. And sometimes where I go, wow, you are just not getting what I'm asking. And I think this is really interesting because I love your talk about the prompts. So I think that all of these different scenarios just requires a human. We can't completely outsource our lives to AI.
And you don't want to, right? Like
Mm.
we went into business for a reason. Like this is part of the reason why I don't have all these processes automated in AI, because I actually enjoy doing them. And
Yeah.
I think the whole word productivity gets thrown around and saving money for AI, but you lose then your heart and soul of why you're doing what you're doing and human connection. And I really liked what you were saying before with getting started. That's 100% how I use it and how I've continued to use it the last 2 years. It is honestly a starting point only. Then I come in. It's never just a set and forget thing ever. And it's just helped me with come up with frameworks. Like for my book I'm writing, it's come up with chapter outlines based on all the materials I've given it from past keynotes and workshops and everything. I've asked it to, create an outline for an article based on all that information I've fed it in my brand voice, all of this stuff. And so
Mm.
it's become a real support when I am overwhelmed or tired. But and this is a key thing here, you get this like massive dopamine hit when you see AI generated content. You're like, oh my gosh,
Look
that
at
is so
that.
cool. In seconds, we're still like so like or like freaked out or just fascinated by it. And so many people though are running with that dopamine hit and going, this is perfect. Oh my gosh, I want to publish it right now and send it out right now. But
Mm.
what you need to do is take a deep breath and pause and use that dopamine hit, like use that excitement to fuel your creativity, to continue the process, to then challenge it, critique it, to go back with other questions and go down deeper in one section or one part. Or if it's completely wrong, like you were saying before, take it offline to Google Doc or Word Doc and then take over manually, because you would
Mm.
have at least had that creativity sparked from otherwise looking at that white screen of death. And that is how we need to work with it, not just go, that's amazing. It took me 5 seconds. I can now go on with my day. Like, no, it will save you time, just not 5 seconds.
Totally. And it's really interesting because I feel like it's becoming more and more obvious when people are just copying and pasting it. It absolutely has a format that it prefers. And as somebody who uses it and knows its output, now when I look at some people's social media posts or their blog articles, I go, wow, that was just copied and pasted from ChatGPT. Like, so even now I'm really conscious of formatting. I'm like, because it does a little heading and then the little semicolon and then the thing. And I'm like, now I'm like, okay, I'm never going to post like that. I'm going to create a heading, like do a new paragraph, bold this, like, change it up because I'm like, I know what AI looks like now. I don't want people to look at it and go, wow, she just copied and pasted that. Even if I did come in with my own ideas and my own brand voice, I think even down to formatting, you have to be careful about.
Yeah. And
Because
I'm going to ask you
surely
a question. I'm going to ask you a
doesn't.
question, Danielle. I want to,
Yeah,
like,
tell me.
when you see that obviously AI generated content, how do you feel about that brand?
I
Like,
don't bother. Well, I don't bother exploring it. I go, what? I don't. I just go, oh, lazy. I go lazy, and I'm not even going to bother reading it.
and that is the problem, right?
Yeah.
And so the whole trap that so many people find themselves in is getting caught up in that productivity thing. Look how much time it saves me, and not thinking about how it lands with their audience.
Yes.
And because we're using AI more and more, we are picking up those words, those formats, the typical structures, the typical, like all of that stuff. And straight away
Mm.
you lose that know, like, and trust factor. You're like, not going to bother. That's 100% what I'm doing. I actually go in first, always with a critical lens, ready to like catch the AI content.
Yeah.
And then when I can tell it's not, I'm like, okay, I kind of like calm the farm a bit.
Yeah.
But when I'm like, oh no, yep, that's AI, moving on. And I just don't even bother, because especially when it comes to like LinkedIn or thought leadership articles,
Mm,
I'm like, that's not your thoughts. Like, you may have put some
no.
thoughts in, but it
Mm,
looks so AI generated. I'm not going to trust that you know what you're talking about. What you need to do is obviously train up on your brand voice and give it enough background information so that, and then add on top of that case studies,
yeah.
opinion stats, to add more layers to it,
Mm.
because you want to basically have AI helping you for like almost indistinguishable AI content. Like, if you've done it properly, no one should be able to tell that you've had AI help. That's the goal.
And I think a big risk too is surely Google algorithms know this as well. This isn't just, Danny's eyes. Like, surely then Google knows, oh, this is content that I've seen somewhere else. This is formatting I've seen somewhere else. Even down to it finishes blog articles with in conclusion and does the little wrap up. And I'm like, nobody writes blog articles like that. But ChatGPT always writes in conclusion and whatever. And I'm like, surely then Google's SEO algorithms are looking for those similarities, and we're going to turn around in a year, however long, and they're going to be saying, oh yeah, part of our new SEO update is we're looking for these AI indicators, and everyone gets blacklisted.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. You're
Mm.
putting yourself at risk, not just for the humans, but for the bots that are scanning it for SEO purposes.
Mhm.
100%. It's just, and remember as well, that SEO also comes down to the engagement levels. So if
Yeah.
people are just jumping on, seeing it's AI and jumping back out, well, you're going to lose points there too. So
Mm.
you got to be really, just look, it can save you time. Just to think about this way: if you were writing an article from absolute scratch, if you're not a writer, you're procrastinating or whatever, it could take you a day. Now, I'm not then recommending you use AI and get it done in 5 minutes. It might
Mm.
take you 2 hours versus a day, but not 5 minutes.
Yes.
So 2 hours with working collaboratively with it, providing it samples, tweaking, blah, 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 that's still saving you time, but you at
Yeah.
least know that it is quality, you've looked at it and everything like that. So that is just so, so important, making sure you always have the final say and you give that tick of human approval.
So then, because you've mentioned a couple of things like brand voice, like teaching it your brand voice and providing sample data that you might have created. What are some of those things? Like, what should we be thinking about when we are using a service like ChatGPT to help us with content or business stuff?
Yeah, so there's three things you really need to do as the absolute grassroots level, and this is what, like, made up stat here, 90% of the population in the world don't do. um, and because people don't realize it, at the moment it's pre-trained, but you have the opportunity to train it up based on your business, based on your brand voice, and on your customers. And once you do that, you've just created a really great starting point, because it understands what you represent, your mission, your vision, your values, what you want the content to sound like, and who you're actually speaking to, so the message lands. So there's just, look, I say there's no exact prompts, so don't get freaked out about finding prompt guides and all that kind of stuff. Really, if you see your AI tool like a human, like an intern or a junior assistant, you would go through an onboarding process. You wouldn't just start the very first day going, hey, write me this, create the strategy for me, all right, you're going to get crap. So if you just think, all right, what words would I use to explain to a human? Okay, I want to teach you everything about my business. Here's a link to my website. Here are my ebooks, my brochures. Don't put anything sensitive in there, obviously, because there's still a lot of data concerns, but anything that's publicly accessible or you would happily send out to a client, right? So just give it that information and then say, all right, that's, now you understand my business. Now here's my brand voice. So I want you to understand my brand voice. Here are some writing samples, and you provide like different forms: an article, a LinkedIn post, an email that you feel really captures your brand's voice, and say, here are some samples. Could you please do analysis of these and tell me what my writing style is? Great. it'll give you, it'll say it's conversational, professional, or quirky, and or serious, or nurturing, or whatever it is, right? And then you say, thank you, please remember this going forward every time we write for HumanEdge AI training, right? Saying remember is key because it then stores it to its memory. And then the customers. So then you want to say, if you already have a customer persona, like this is Jane and she's 24 and these are pain points and likes and dislikes. If you already have that, then give it that information. Hey, here's everything you need to know about my customers. Off you go. Remember this. But if you don't have that, you can say, I'd like your help with creating some custom personas. Could you please provide me, or what information do you need from me to help you create these? And then I'll give you a whole checklist to then fill in the gaps. So, what the age and demographic and social media platforms, whatever you know. And then it will create a profile for you. Go, thank you. Please remember this. And then going forward, you say, all right, when I write this article now, we're speaking to Jane, and here's all the main things you need to cover. Well, lights went out. All things you need to cover. This is how many words and everything like that. And it's got this really strong basis to work from. And so many people jump over that, but that straight away is going to personalize it and customize your content right off the bat, much more than if you just asked, write me an article.
I just love how you said treat it like an intern or a junior employee. Like, you're so right. I think we think about it as this tool that should just be the be all and end all and so smart. But I mean, even if you hired like a highly paid senior someone, sure, like maybe you're not teaching them as much, but they would do this process for themselves. They would sit down and look at all of your materials, look at your website, speak to other employees, do that research piece and get an understanding of what your brand is, style is, before they went and created content. I don't know how we just all thought ChatGPT will just know what to do. It's wild.
I think what the thing is that the message bar in ChatGPT or Gemini or Copilot, whatever your tool of choice is, it looks very similar to the Google search bar.
Yeah.
And we've built this habit over, how old is Google now? Is that 20 years old or more? I don't know how old it is now, but we're so used to just going, I want this. All right, Google, tell me this, tell me that, just shouting demands at it. And so this is what I did. The very first prompt I used into ChatGPT was, why are copywriters better than ChatGPT? A little bit better. But it's the type of thing you plug into Google, right? Just give me a straight answer.
Yeah.
And we just straight away, most people go in the same way. Because if you haven't bothered to watch YouTube videos or podcasts or listen to podcasts, whatever, you just assume it works the same way. But no, if you treat it more like I have to give you thorough instructions, and the more clarity, the better, because otherwise it's garbage in, garbage out. And if you think, all right, if I had a junior intern and I just said, go create this business strategy for me in day one, they're going to say, because they want to please you, oh, yeah, sure, I'll help you. I know how to use the internet. But they'll have no context whatsoever. And you're just going to then go, what's this crap you're giving me? And have to spend all this time. And that's the thing. People are otherwise spending all this time fixing up content that if you just had that time with an onboarding session, clean that up straight away.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I've never thought about it as an employee before, but now it just makes so much sense. And I think this is a trap we all fall into as well, is around spending the time. There's a funny saying like, sharpen the axe or whatever it is, like take the time to sharpen the axe and then you cut down the tree faster, whatever. But it is that I think in our minds, we think, I don't have time to do all of this training. I'm just going to smash it out. To your point, I'm going to get it down to 5 minutes, not the whole day. But it is that if we actually just take a step back and give it that training, give it that thought, educate ourselves a little bit. I love what you said about watching the YouTube videos, listening to the podcast, get an understanding of how we can make it work for us, the output is going to be so much better. We're going to save the time and the output is going to actually benefit us, not detract from our business.
Yeah, that's it. You're thinking about the long-term benefits. Like in the immediate term, oh, I have to go do this and that. It's gonna serve you. And that's like, honestly, when I do one-on-one training or team training, it takes like half an hour to this onboarding session. It really isn't a long time, but just doing that process, you've now got that locked in. And then you can go and create this magical strategies and content together with your tool. But yeah, it's just you just don't know what you don't know. I've come across people go, oh yeah, I'm really good with AI. And I go, oh yeah, have you trained it up on this yet? Oh no.
Can you
Like
even do that? Yeah.
they don't know. And this is where I guess me wearing my copywriting hat, I know I bring value to the table because especially with content creation, like marketing's obviously my main focus with training, but I train anyone. But I know what quality output looks like for
Yes.
content marketing purposes. So this is one of the reasons I went into doing this stuff because I'm like, okay, if you can't beat them, join them. If people are going to use AI anyway, I might as well teach them how to do it properly. And so all the copywriters out there, tuning in, don't freak out. Like teach yourself AI and become like an AI coach like I have, because people will just go take it at face value going, this looks like quality content because they don't know otherwise.
Yeah.
We need to explain the nuances, the psychology behind good content, everything like that, that most people don't get. So I get very frustrated when I hear, and I've heard of a couple of instances of this, where copywriters have been sacked and like, oh, we just got AI now. And I'm like, no, because who's now writing the content? Is it just the admin assistant who knows nothing? Like, what are you doing to your brand and your business? So this is where I just say, take a moment. If you want to introduce AI, just think of the human impact, both internally, like for staff, and externally for customers. Just think, are you just caught up in the hype in this AI vortex and not actually seeing the cost of doing it, financial or reputation or trust or whatever, right? You got to think about that, because I'm seeing too many people going, oh, I'll invest in this and do this tool and that tool and that tool, and forgetting about human relationships.
Yeah, and it's really interesting because it goes back to what we were saying at the start of the podcast, which is like, this is stuff that's from the dawn of time, right? When they implemented, robots to build things and what, you've got to always come back to internal impact and external impact. And is this just the new shiny object? Oh my God, it's so funny. I was talking to a woman, they run the Chamber of Commerce here, and she was like, we went to the cloud. And I was like, can't believe you're not in the cloud, or, all the tools we have now. But anyway, and she's like, and yeah, it was slow. It's slower. And so we want to go back to whatever we're doing. And I was thinking about it, like, I remember, because I used to, a decade plus ago, I worked for Telstra, and that was a whole movement, all of these big companies migrating to the cloud instead of on servers. And it was just the buzzword du jour, like everyone, we've got to do this, we've got to keep up with the times, all the things. But it's like actually taking a minute, stepping back and figuring out what is actually going to be internal impact, customer impact. And is this the right move for me? Or is there another way to go about it to make sure that we're retaining everything that we've built so far and setting ourselves up, actually going to get some benefit out of it long term?
Yeah, that's it. Just really this is why I say you need to get a team together to discuss AI decisions. Don't just have one leader, and whether it's you or whoever, just saying, yeah, we need to incorporate this, embrace this. This is a cool tool I've just heard about. And just pull back, because as well, there's like 18,000 AI tools that have come out. And I personally, even though I'm like a global AI coach now, honestly, I've played with maybe 5 tools.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Yeah.
And it's because like, one I heard raved about the other day, I went on, it's meant to like, trawl through your website and then instantly give you social media posts that you can use. And the graphic it gave me was a headless man doing training. And I was just like, literally a headless, like, I'm like, okay, 1, I'm a woman. 2, that's a man. And 3, where's his head? So like, it was just like, okay, we've completely lost trust with this tool straight away. Like, I'm not going to use it. And so a lot of people are just getting caught up. I'm going to use this tool. But if there's too many glitches in it, people aren't going to use it. They're going to just go off the market. And then you've potentially heavily trained up a tool or invested in a tool that's not going to be around in 6 months' time. So I'm being really wary about which tools I embrace. I make sure I've heard from multiple people that it's benefited them. So if I hear about a tool from at least 5 people, I'm like, okay, I'll explore that now. Otherwise, I'm just not jumping onto every shiny tool. And honestly, for how, like I mentioned earlier, how I like to use it, ChatGPT, the OG, that's serving me fine. I'm going to explore more like there's Cassidy, which is a bit more of a secure platform for sensitive data, like when telling my clients, like legal or whatever. But I'm trying to keep it human. Like I'm that's become a little hashtag, keep it human. And that's what I want you to always remember with the AI usage. Where do the humans come into this piece? Just keep them at the forefront, please.
Yeah, and you make a really interesting point. I think about so all of these tools that are cropping up, like you think about how new AI is. Of course, these are all new startup companies that are going, we can solve this problem. We're jumping on a trend. So they have no years of time in market, product feedback, technical, advancement. Yeah, sure, they are trying to solve big problems and maybe at some point in the future, but you're so spot on. We really don't need to jump on every new company's AI tool that comes to the market today.
Especially if you have to pay for all of them. Like it's
Oh
going to add
God,
up.
yeah.
It's going to.
Yeah. Oh my God, absolutely. We have enough software tools to pay for, seriously. But you mentioned in as we were talking that you used AI to assist you with your book outline. Talk to me about writing a book.
Yes.
So many people like want to write a book, so many women in business, so many business owners. Talk to me about that process, what it's all about, how you found it.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm obviously because I'm writing about AI or AI versus humanity and all of that. And I have had people ask me, you're just going to use AI to write your book? And I'm like, no. Well, I'm a writer, so I want to be the one to write it. However, I'm having a chapter at the very end of the book that is how I use AI to write this book. And
Nice.
anytime throughout the thought process, the brainstorming process, whatever it is, I've used AI, I'm like dumping it into that chapter with what prompts and output or whatever, just for full transparency. And I think that's what anyone needs to do as well. So please don't think, oh, I've got AI now, I can write a book. Because, like we were saying before, especially if it's not a topic you know about, you won't even know if it's quality, if it's correct or anything like that. So how I'm using it is, okay, here's all of my information that I've done in my workshops, my keynotes, all my training from the last like 2 years. I've fed it into the tool and then I've said, okay, can you this is the rough idea I want to go with. Can you give me some chapter ideas? And it pumped out some really great ones. But you know what? At first glance, I'm like, this is brilliant. I'm running with this. But then I looked at it again about a week later and I realized a couple of chapters sound very similar,
Mm.
or there's a bit of repetition, or those chapters could combine or whatever. So I'm glad I didn't just go running with it. So that's where you need to have this human lens and go, okay, is that actually going to flow well and everything like that, and critique it and just I mean, I'm basically what I've realized is as I started writing, you hear about fiction writers say that the characters took on a life of their own. Well, basically one of my chapters did that. The chapter was about balancing human brains and AI tools, and somehow I started talking about the importance of human connection, and
Mm.
I'm like, actually that's a chapter in itself. We'll talk about just human connection and networking, how that served me. I actually have brought up COVID as, we craved human connection. So it's ironic that now we're replacing human connection with bots only a couple of years later.
Yep.
So
Yep.
anyway, I wanted to talk
How
to
quickly
that.
we forget.
I know, right? So I wanted to bring that up. And so then I'm like, oh, okay, I've now created another chapter for myself. But yeah, I've just realized it's kind of an evolution, just kind of flowing with it. But I'm basically, it's going to be my writing project over the summer break because I do struggle to find time to work on it. I'm an early riser, so I have had a handful of days getting up at 5:30 and writing till 7 till I have to get the kids ready for school. But yeah, I think I'll get more into a rhythm once, I don't have client work to worry about. But I'm really enjoying the process, and it's just I'm going with a publisher. I've just been very
Mhm.
blessed that they didn't have an AI person, and they liked my angle, and they don't think it's going to go out of date too quickly. The way I'm writing
I
it.
mean, and I think that like your blend of don't forget the human stuff, like humans aren't going to go out of fashion, I hope. So you think there's longevity in that?
Yes, that's I'm hoping. I'm just keeping really general, not talking about any real tools specifically, but
Mm,
I'm having all these extracts from other people, which is a strategic approach, here from the humans. And so I'm getting other people to
cool.
share their thoughts on human connection, their thoughts on how to use AI, all this kind of stuff. And for two reasons. One, it gives different perspectives because I'm not claiming to be the AI expert. Like seriously, before like March 2023, I didn't even touch AI apart from saying, "Hey Google." So yeah, so that's one thing, and also with the whole book thing, you need to build up a following. So by
Mm,
putting outreach, hey, I want to hear from you. I then have these people who are following along the book journey. They're more likely to buy the book because they've been part of that. So that's a little bit of a strategic thing too. But I'm really, I love hearing, even just last night, talking to a photographer. Hey, there's AI has taken over that space, but he is, oh, my phone wants to actually respond to Hey Google. So
Don't we love that? Now the little devices are actually listening to us.
sorry, everyone, if that did the same thing happen to you too.
I think it's
Um,
so fitting. It is so fitting that AI was like, okay, you two have been talking for long enough. Let me chime in and say something.
So funny. Yeah, so the photographer, like he could be like freaking out, but he's like, no, I've used this AI tool to cull all those, because it takes 6 photos at
Mm,
a time, to
yep,
cull the bad ones just straight away for him.
that's
He's
cool.
trained it up to understand lighting and this and what's a bad photo and what's a good photo. And that's I'm like, okay, I need to feature in my book because that is a great example. Rather than running scared, you're getting it to help you with that. So that's what I really encourage people, find the gaps. How can it enhance you? But he's still going to walk around taking photos. It'll still
Yep.
be a while before someone will hire a robot to go around and do it. Even
I hope.
as a drone, right? You still have the
Mm.
humans managing the drones to just make sure they don't hit anyone. Um, we still need humans.
Oh my God. I love it so much. I could talk to you all day about this. However, we should wrap. So I always love to finish these podcasts with one last question. Reflecting on your time in business, what would be one piece of advice that you would give to another woman in business to help her on her journey?
Well, for me, definitely like the networking and connecting with other business owners has been so key. It's not just to go to, yeah, don't just go to networking events thinking about the business you'll potentially get because you'll just get disappointed most of the time. But think about it, the opportunity to find mentors or people who inspire you or just hang out with people who get it. Like when I started my business, I had a 1-year-old daughter. All my friends were either full-time in business, full-time employees, or mums, part-time jobs they hated, but flexibility around their family. I didn't have a lot of business owning friends. And then when I found them through networking, I've just created this amazing supportive network and they just get it and they get where I'm coming from. They get why I hustle. They get why I can't just be employed and be happy with a regular paycheck, although that would be nice. It's just to share the wins and the losses. Like, just yeah, even if it's an online space, if you don't want to physically get out and about, it's just so key to get people around you who get it.
I love that so much. And I couldn't agree more. Sometimes there are things that only a certain set of people understand. And if you don't find those people, you will go crazy.
Yeah.
I love it so much, Leanne. You have been absolutely incredible. Thank you so much for spending your time with the Spark community today. So grateful for you.
Okay. Thanks, Danny. Appreciate it.